Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating executive order. It takes something you might just have sitting in your garage and, get this, turns it into a matter of national security. So where does this all begin? Well, it starts with a major declaration coming straight from the White House. They've labeled a very specific substance as, and I'm quoting here, critical to the nation's defense. Now, you might be thinking this is about some kind of rare metal or super advanced technology, right? Nope. The substance at the very heart of this order is actually a key ingredient in a common weed killer. Yeah, you heard that right. I mean, that's a pretty surprising leap, isn't it? So how in the world does a chemical for killing weeds suddenly become a national security issue? Okay, let's really dig into the details of this order and see what's going on. This executive order, which was signed on February 18th, 2026, reaches for a really powerful and, frankly, a pretty rarely used law. And that law is the Defense Production Act. Now, what is that? Basically, it gives the president some serious emergency powers, the kind of power to tell businesses what to make and who gets it, all in the name of national defense. It's a big deal. So you gotta understand, this order isn't just some symbolic gesture. It gives the government three really powerful tools. First, they can control the supply, decide who gets these chemicals. Second, they can protect the companies that make them. And third, and this is huge, it can shield those same companies from certain kinds of lawsuits.
Okay, so what exactly are we talking about here? The order is super specific. It names two key materials. Let's break them down.
All right, the first one is a name you've probably heard before, glyphosate. And yet, this is the chemical that's been at the center of a huge public debate for years now. And this is where things get, well, really complicated. See, glyphosate isn't just some random chemical. It's the main ingredient in a lot of major weed killers. It's also been the subject of tens of thousands of lawsuits over health concerns. And to top it all off, there's only one company in the entire US that produces it. Okay, so that's the first chemical. The second one named in the order is elemental phosphorus. Now, this one might not be a household name like glyphosate, but believe me, its role here is absolutely critical. And this really gets to the heart of the whole national security argument. Elemental phosphorus is what you call a classic dual-use material. What does that mean? Well, on the one hand, it's essential for farming, think fertilizers. But on the other hand, the military needs it for things like smoke screens and flares. And here's the kicker. Just like glyphosate, we barely produce any of it here in the US. So that brings up the big question, right? Why do this and why now? Let's look at the official justification, the reason the administration gives right in the order itself. And their position is pretty straightforward. They're saying that we need a reliable domestic supply of both of these chemicals. Why? Because they're essential for two massive pillars of national stability, our military's readiness and our nation's food supply. It's a powerful argument. Okay, so that's the official story. But there's a whole other side to this. Public health advocates, they are looking at this exact same order and seeing something completely different. What are they saying? Well, critics argue that this whole national security thing is basically being used as a cover, a way to sidestep all those really serious, long-running public health debates, especially the whole controversy around glyphosate. And this really just nails the core of the whole conflict, doesn't it? You have two totally competing ways of looking at the exact same issue. Is this about protecting a vital national security asset? Or is it about protecting a controversial chemical from legal trouble? Is it about ensuring we can all eat? Or is it about shielding corporations? I mean, this quote from one of the sources just sums it all up perfectly. The critics are saying this isn't really about a new policy. It's about a new story. It's an attempt to completely reframe the conversation, to stop talking about public health and start talking about national defense. Okay, so let's just do a quick recap of the key takeaways here. You've got emergency powers being used to protect the production of a weed killer. You have a huge public health debate getting completely reframed as a national security matter, and as a result, the companies that make this stuff get a whole new layer of legal and regulatory protection. So when you put it all together, the competing stories, the high stakes, this whole thing really boils down to one fundamental clash, a conflict between two incredibly important public priorities. And that leaves us with the big central question that this executive order forces us all to think about. You know, the key takeaway here isn't just about these specific chemicals. It's about how policy can be used to completely redefine a public debate. It makes you wonder, When you have national security on one side and public health on the other, who gets to decide where that line is drawn?